Testing. Okay, now it's working, I think. So need sorry for that. Do it as quick as possible. Let's see. We'll share it on Twitter. And LinkedIn as well. Give me a sec, just in case someone wants to join in. We will start in no time. Yeah, I think it asked me before if I want to post in the data science community. But that's a moderated group, so the post will only appear in 2 weeks potentially. So no, thank you. It's my thing. Is it playing? That's unusual. I haven't seen this before. It's not playing on my device. Playing over here. Okay, it's playing over there. Right, no, that's working. Okay. Let's see if someone wants to join in. Any takers? Let me readjust the microphone for a second. Because I'll be standing the whole time with this wicked do-it-yourself standing desk. I also have weird screen, super wide, so that's why. Which way? This way. I have this lots of dead space on the screen. Unfortunately, there's not much I can do about it unless I use it for other things. So generally doing this, always point this way, it should be this way. Web application, that's the last one we were working on, still in test, but you can go check it out yourself. It's on the site somewhere buried. It's actually at the bottom still. Yeah, all these tools hopefully will be coming back live soon, so you can play around with them. There's still a few improvements that could be made. And we actually started with another tool. It's this cross coherence function. That's what it used to look like. This doesn't work anymore. This file scroller, raw EEG spectrum display, and cross coherence function. There's some videos of how it's used to work, and apologies, the site is not working because it was actually an attempt to hack into my server, which I terminated by just restarting from scratch. But that means those back API backend would not work anymore. Making a new one that's a prototype for it. So kind of same idea. You will have your file scroll, a window size. You can select channel A, B. We're working with this data that has 16 channels, intracranial EEG in it. So I have a detrend on and off option. which normally works well. And yeah, and it will again display the raw EEG, a spectrum of the EEG, and most importantly, if this particular tool, there will be a cross coherence function. So essentially cross correlation in frequency domain. This is where the data is from. Anyone can go and get that data set. I don't know if you can even see the text there, but it's should be soon available on the site, and there normally some description at the bottom as well. So let's begin. So we're creating those prompts, essentially info explaining what the thing does. But I'll just pop the link to the site in the chat, just in case you want to check it out. Any comments are more than welcome. But yes, it's all, as the name suggests, chaos. It's all work in progress. We start with GPT 3.5 and then move to 4. In 3.5, I want to iron out the prompts. So we have this one here, which we already tried before. Yes, we created it from scratch. There was no ChatGPT used or any other LLM used to generate those descriptions. That's what we did quite a while ago. But it's basically a quick description of the project. Oops, forgot to move my camera. You should remind me to do that. Can I just, yep. Yeah, I'll just do that. Just jump around to the bottom of the screen. Probably make it a bit larger, or just move it down like that. Now it should be fine. So I can see both. This is my development environment, normal Visual Studio Code. This is whichever way. I can't get my finger right. ChatGPT that we use for developing stuff for us. Turn this off for a sec. So I ask it at the bottom. Yeah, I probably should read this one quickly. We have so we're developing a Flask application using Apache server, not servlet. And we want to be able to select two channels and scroll through the EEG data. It's essentially a description of what you see in here, the API that doesn't work anymore. So select two channels, scroll through the EEG data, see how the cross-coherence measurement are changing as you scroll through the larger EEG file. A display channel selector. So that's the inputs. You have EEG chart. This is important that it's to displaying this selected channels. This should be overlaid. Yeah, that's probably B. Can't spell. Got a H, of course. Right, so we have the Flask window size selector, channel A, channel B, a detrain option. We'll do this later. It's actually another, it should be another tool in our function. Just to, no, actually it isn't important. I'll cover it now. It should be just detraining the signal so it appears around 0. So it's removing DC offset. And we have outputs, raw EEG spectrum, chart of the EEG, and the cross coherence function with minimum and maximum indicators for amplitude. So we have this info added as HTML text. Might as well do this so it's turning everything as HTML text. We have requirements that update output as user is changing the input. Didn't use update. We don't want buttons. Like we actually tried it. When was it? Yesterday, and it keep insisting on having a button in there, which we do not want. We also don't want to use a M&E library. It's a common library for processing EEG signals. We don't want to use it. We want to do everything from scratch. But yes, if you want to start quickly, M&E library is a open source. They have Python libraries. It's pretty good. You can do a lot of fancy stuff with EEG signals straight away without messing around with any functions, with any maths. Don't use Python virtual environment. Yeah, that's we don't like it because anyway, technical reason doesn't matter. Optimize serve. So there's always this decision between serving things on the executing things on the server side or the client side. So wanna tell the bot to optimize for faster loading and response. Display plots directly on the web page without converting to images. Yeah, last time for some reason it started converting everything into images. We do not like that. And we have this following a file structure that we want to use, kind of standard. And at this stage we tell it to, this is reference only. It's for reference only. Do not generate any code yet. So we happy with that to start with. And let's just modify that, see what it says. Yes, we created. Yes, we installed. Right, create your Flask application. Here's a simplified example. So I'm not sure why. Okay, so it's not. I did ask to not generate code yet, didn't I? Do not generate any code. It ignored that. Let's see if GPT-4 will ignore my instructions as well. Because, yeah, at the bottom I say, this is for reference only, do not generate any code yet. And I do not expect to see any black boxes.
You provided, I can provide a general plan for how you might approach this application.
Yes, get general plan. Yep, that's good. Static script, a CSS, backend. So GPT-4 at least not ignoring my instruction to not generate any code. That's great. Front end, back end, front end. Calculating, displaying outputs. Numpy, Scipy. So we are not using Scipy at the moment. We are using Numpy. Yeah, it would be good to see what the difference that makes. I expect to see some difference, but I wouldn't think Wouldn't think it will be any significant difference. Utilize JavaScript, yeah, minimum marks indicators, yep, optimizing performance. Let's read this for a sec.
Consider using WebSockets for a more responsive user experience. Optimize the calculations and data transfer to ensure smooth scrolling and real-time updates. Before proceeding with the actual coding, ensure all the requirements and steps are well understood and planned out. The detailed implementation will depend on the chosen libraries and exact requirements for user interaction and data visualization.
Okay, so we have yeah, let's start from scratch. So just to make sure. No, wait. Let's keep a copy of our files, and then we just get rid. Then we just delete them. So the app py will have this is a start. So create a copy of this first. And no, we want this bit. Yes. Close that. Right, let's just format document so it in info. Yeah, want to be structured properly. Right, so that's, we'll continue from there. A JavaScript, just keep the copy of what we had before. Didn't work quite well, so I might as well get rid of it for now. Templates, index HTML. Yeah, let's create a copy. Get rid of that for now. Close the copy. Right. So we have beginning. We have the first, what is it, 50 lines of code for the Python script. And that's what we want to give GPT-4. Yeah, using Plotly. Why is it? Okay, so it's adding Scipy for coherence and the trend. Okay. Just ignore what I said.
I'll continue from where you left off. You're using Plotly for the plots, which is a great choice because it allows for interactive plots that can be easily updated in real time. Below I'll continue with the Flask application, adding root handlers for rendering the initial page and updating the plots based on user input. I'll also add some helper functions to calculate the FFT, cross-coherence, etc.
Right, so we're adding more functions. And where is my JSON raw EEG spectrum coherence min max? That's fine, but where is the opening the file and everything? So I would assume that will be continuation. And why do we need request. Okay.
This Python script is the following, provides a helper function for calculating the cross-coherence in FFT. Defines a main route for serving the initial HTML page. Defines a route for updating the plots, where it receives user inputs, performs necessary calculations, and returns the updated plots as HTML and the min/max coherence values. The plots are converted to HTML using plotlist_HTML function, so they can be directly inserted into the web page as HTML. The AJAX part on the front end, perhaps in script, JS, would be responsible for sending user inputs to this, update_plots route and updating the displayed plots with the received new plots. This script should be connected to the sliders and selectors on your web page to provide real-time interactivity. Make sure to handle errors and exceptions gracefully to ensure a good user experience. The EEG data is loaded using Pandas when the app starts. There are two routes, one for rendering the initial page, index, and another for updating the plots, update_plots, based on user input. It calculates the FFT spectrum and cross-coherence based on the user's selected channels and window. If the user enables the trend, it applies the trend to the data. It returns the updated plots and min/max coherence values to the front end. Note, make sure to handle all the exceptions and edge cases to ensure a robust application. The error handling here is basic and should be expanded upon based on your specific needs and testing.
Oops, sorry, no one told me. Forgot to turn my microphone. Oops. Okay. So now we also need the index HTML, and then we start testing. What's that? Defer. So I guess it's giving it like a less priority thing. Yeah, I know what it's trying to do here. It's not great. I think I know what it's doing. Site can't be reached. Yeah, of course, because it's turned off. Let's put that one away. Let's turn 3.5 off using GPT-4. Let's start this Flask application. Right, 10 second, 20 second, channel A, 7, 8, the trend on off, date plots, and there are no plots. Define. Okay, it's not too bad. What's the problem that we have? There are no errors, which is unusual. Update plot. It works, it's fast, but it's not loading any data. So it's doing post requests, that's okay. Update plot. Update plots. It's should be updating all of them. One sec. Sorry for that. No one is in the chat. Just take a 2-minute break before we continue. Should take those breaks. So otherwise my brains get fried. By the way, you can just have a look at the YouTube analytics if anyone is interested. So I have this 260 views in the last 48 hours. That's kind of the main metric I'm looking at. Well, because supposedly yeah, I could show you more details. It's a more detailed view. So this last 60 minutes, this last 48 hours. So that video was quite popular relatively. You can see analytics of individual videos. Yeah, so it's shooting way above my typical performance. So that's good, but you can see it's starting to saturate. So I don't know why. It's all up to the algorithm to keep promoting it. So hopefully it keeps trending upwards. What other videos are there? Yeah, that one was quite popular. I don't know what's doing now. Yeah, so you can see. Yeah, it would be interesting. I don't know what. Again, it's performed way better than any of my other videos. That's the typical performances, that gray area there. So typical, like 30, and this one did over 200 views and watch time. You also can see it's organic. I don't know what happened there though, but then the algorithm just decided to give it a rest. So yeah, I don't know. If it will go back at promoting it again or not. Yeah, this is another one. Yeah, this one trending quite well. Good to see that this something like this looks fake, looks synthetic. So that's potentially when the algorithm is trying too hard. Don't remember doing anything about it. But potentially I have to check if it happens when I actually post on other social medias. I don't know. Would be, have to see, October 5th, 2 days ago. Yeah, maybe I did post something about it, because you can see it got plateaued and then started going again. And yeah, it's doing as well as in the beginning. Yeah, that in the beginning there just shows it to a bunch of people, so that would be the algorithm just suggesting it to potentially like thousands, hundreds of people in there, and out of them, whatever 20 or so did click on it. So yeah, so you get a lot of analytics, a lot of like behavioral data, and I do have some experience in behavioral studies, so we could do a analysis of this data. Obviously, there's no personal data or anything. I don't know who you are, who is watching. It's just get these numbers. So let's get back to the web application. In the styling, by the way, I have these colors that I would like to use. I know some people, so there's some color aficionados out there. Um, Maybe sort it in a sec. We only got 25 minutes. 25 minutes. No. Okay, so this function calculate plots, return. So it's returning stuff. It says so. I'm not seeing anything on the screen. Screen is undefined. Loading data. Okay, I think so. I didn't add my HTML stuff. Spoke it in the chat. Yeah, I'm concerned about this undefined business. Undefined. All right, sorry, we do have script 45. Right, we're getting that error. To fixed. There's a problem with this. $42. That should be a simple fix. Check front end, console loaded, data update, verify, sample code, update plots.
The trend, undefined, issue is likely because you need to access the check property of the checkbox input element to get whether it is checked or not. You should check the exact name and attributes of the HTML elements and make sure they match with those being accessed in the JavaScript code.
Okay, we're getting a bunch of errors. Update plots giving me 500. I don't think it's loading the data correctly.
The error is occurring because of the doTrend function from Scipy. Signal. The error value
Multitasking
error, legal value
programmer.
and 4th argument of internal none suggests there might be an issue with the data being passed to the doTrend
Multitasking
function,
it's a
or
good
the way the function
name
is being called.
for a YouTube channel. Multitasking programmer. I wish I had that name for my channel.
The error is occurring because of the doTrend function from Scipy. Signal. The error value error, legal value and 4th argument of internal none suggests there might be an issue with the data being passed to the doTrend function, or the way the function is being called.
Illegal value in the fourth element. So there are nuns in the data. There shouldn't be. So data is being read in Python. delimit the white space. To make sure this is working correctly.
The error can occur if there are none or infinite values in the data. You can check and handle them before calling the detrend function. For example,
no, I don't want to fill nans. Pretty sure I should not have any nans. Check. Hey. Should be no nan issue. The data should be just the daily trend. Let's see. This thing should be just delimit the white space, header, none, skip rows. Should be correct. Okay, so what the problem is? Date plots. Script. No, it must be, as it suggests, JavaScript line 32. Getting a 500 there. Checking the server logs. So trace back. Yeah, there's the nonce. Oops. I always forget the. It's Control Shift C from terminal instead of Control C to copy.
if needed, apply detrending to each channel separately or ensure that the data is in the expected format before passing it to detrend.
Shouldn't be a problem. Date plots. Why it's executing so many times. Yeah, ideally. Yeah, we'll fix it later. We had a similar problem before where you don't want it to send data while the thing is being scrolled. You want it to be only sent when the scroller is being released, when the mouse is being released. So otherwise it's just sending too many of those. But currently the problem is on loading the page. Let's go back. The charts are not shown on loading the page.
The reason the charts are not displayed upon loading the page is because, in the script, JS file, the update plots function is initially called after the page has been loaded. However, since the initial values of the input elements are set to default and aren't actually changed, it might not trigger the update if not handled properly. To fix this, you should ensure that the initial call to update plots actually sends a request to the server to get the plots for the default input values and then updates the DOM accordingly. Here's the revised script, JS. I added a delay to the initial call to update plots using setTimeout to ensure that it's called after the page and all elements are fully loaded.
Yeah, that's okay, but that's not the problem. It's not gonna solve anything. The delay doesn't do anything. The plots are not loading to begin with. Can we make sure the data is being loaded correctly from the text file?
Apologies for the confusion. If the data isn't loading properly from the file, then we should start by making sure that the data is being read correctly in the Flask app. Let's add some print statements or logging in the app.py to debug if the data is being loaded correctly. Also, ensure that the path to the data file and the file format is correct. Here's how you can modify the load_eg_data function to add some debugging information. Make sure you have the logging library imported. This will print the shape of the data frame in the first few rows to the console when the app starts, so you can verify that the data is being loaded correctly. If there's an error, it will print the error message. If the data is being loaded correctly, then we should also check if the update_plots route is being called and if it's returning the expected data. You can add some logging in the update_plots route to print the received input values and the generated plots.
So let's do this first in loading the data. That should be correct. Now we want to do some logging. Right, so the data is loading correctly. Should be 16 channels. Should be using traceback or probably can get rid of traceback just to logging. So if the
data is being loaded correctly, then we should also check if the update_plots route is being called and if it's returning the expected data. You can add some logging in the update_plots route to print the received input values in the generated plots.
kept that plots have try that should be can be there. Window size, why don't we have why don't we have window size? Are we in the correct function? Update plots. It's just called window.
This will print the received input values in the generated plot HTML to the console each time the update_plots route is called. You can then check the console output to debug the issue. Also, ensure that your script, JS and index, HTML are correctly linked and that there are no JavaScript errors in the browser console that could be preventing the plots from being updated. Make sure the elements IDs in the script, JS match with those in the index, HTML.
This is not correct variable names. It's channel underscore. Should it be instead? I don't know why it's messing up my variable names. Thank you for catching that mistake. Okay. It's an odd mistake that you... Yeah. Why did it say that? I didn't say. Did I press the button by mistake?
You're welcome. It appears that there might have been some miscommunication or confusion. I'm here to assist you, so please feel free to provide more specific details or questions, and I'll do my best to provide accurate and helpful responses. If there are specific issues or errors you are encountering, please describe them, and I'll provide assistance to help resolve those issues. Make sure that the variable names are consistent throughout the code and follow Python naming conventions to avoid any errors or confusion. If needed, reviewing the code for consistency and clarity can be very helpful.
This is not being printed. Where's that error coming from? Oh, okay, when we get 3 minutes, we haven't made much progress. We'll take a break and continue, as in I'll continue streaming, because we need to get it working. So obviously it's coming from can't detect any issues with this. The other reason to give it a break is because we might hit that 50 prompts per whatever period of time limit.
The code you provided looks mostly fine, but the float division by zero error typically occurs when there is a division by zero in your code, such as dividing by the frequency or other parameters that might become zero. Let's tackle the issue step by step. Make sure the data is being loaded correctly and is not empty or null. You have logging enabled, which is good, so you should be able to see if the data loading is successful and what the data looks like. Ensure that the parameters you are receiving from the front end, like start, window underscore size, etc., are valid and not causing the division by zero. When calculating the FFT, there might be a division by the frequency. Adjust the code to handle the case when frequency is 0 to avoid the division by 0 error. Here's the adjusted FFT underscore spectrum function. Before calculating coherence, ensure that window underscore size is not 0. Sometimes, the data might contain nan or infinity values, leading to unexpected behavior. Ensure the data being used in calculations is clean. You can add a print statement or log the data before performing calculations to check it. Modify the error handling in the update underscore plots function to log the full error trace for better debugging. Ensure that JavaScript is correctly receiving and sending the data. Check the browser's console for any JavaScript errors. Since you're using Flask's development server, every error on the server side should be visible in the console where the server is running. Keep an eye on that console for errors. Implement these changes and checks, and it should help you identify the source of the division by zero error or other issues in the application.
Okay, we do want to check if the window size should not be 0. So data loaded successfully. Yes, this will be 100 seconds worth of data.
The frequency array generated in the FFT_spectrum function could potentially have 0 values, leading to a division error later in the processing. Make sure to handle the 0 frequency case appropriately. Ensure that the window size for the FFT and coherence calculations is not 0.
Check over here. Checking for 0 frequencies as well. Why do we need to replace it?
Examine the FFT_spectrum and calculate _cross_coherence functions to ensure there is no division by 0.
Seems like the error went away.
It looks like you are encountering the flow division by 0 error when making a post request to update_plots. To better pinpoint where this error occurs, you can print out the stack trace. However, it's essential to identify the operation or line that's causing this error. From the logs, it's clear that the data is loading successfully. Now, we should focus on the operations that are performed after data loading, especially those involving division. Here's an enhanced version of the error handling in the update_plots function to print the full stack trace.
Pretty sure I'm already doing that.
The frequency rate generated in the FFT_spectrum function could potentially have 0 values, leading to a division error later in the processing. Make sure to handle the 0 frequency case appropriately. Ensure the plots are being updated correctly with the received data in JavaScript. You might have an issue where the data is received but not rendered properly on the web page.
Yeah, that seemed to be the case. What do I do about it?
Ensure that the data being sent to Plotly to create the plots is valid and in the expected format. You might want to log this data as well to verify. Before converting the Plotly figures to HTML strings, print them out or log them to ensure they are generated correctly. It appears that the figure object is being created, but the data field is empty. This is why no plot is being displayed. It seems that the data is not being processed or passed to the Plotly figure correctly. Make sure that the data passed to the Plotly figure is not empty or null. Add print statements or logs before creating the Plotly figure to verify that the data is present and in the correct format. For example, before creating the raw_eg_fig, print out the data_window, channel_A, channel_B, data frame. Plotly expects the data frame's index to be the x values. For time series data like EEG, it should typically be the time values. Make sure that the data frame index contains appropriate values. Modify the way you're creating the plotly figure to explicitly set the x and y values. For example, ensure that the data doesn't contain nan or infinity values, as these can lead to issues with plot rendering. You can drop or fill nan values before creating the plot. The data frame being empty is the core of the issue. This is why no plots are being generated, as there is no data to plot. Here are steps to diagnose why the data frame is empty and how to fix it. Ensure that the indices you're using to slice the data frame are correct. The slicing is done based on this line of code. You should log window_start and window_end to ensure they contain the expected values. Ensure that the user inputs for start and window_size are as expected. You should validate these inputs to make sure they are not causing the data frame slice to be empty.
It should be 0 number. We have a sample of the data. What's the difference between these two? Yeah, we'll continue next time. We'll do it offline, see how we go.